Loading Innovation Markets platform.
Hello innovators, happy New Year's. Hope you guys have had a fantastic period over the Christmas holidays and the New Year period as well. Hope everyone has had sufficient rest and preparing for what is looking to be one hell of a year in the cryptocurrency markets. I've been absolutely dying to come back, record a video, got back from Dubai, took a nice little break, but honestly, there's nothing quite like home. After taking a bit of profit off of XRP, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take a little break, clear my mind and come back and absolutely go into grind mode for 2022, which is most definitely well underway. Now, I hope you guys have been well. And then let's just jump in first and foremost to XRP, as I'm sure that's what you guys are eagerly awaiting me to update on first and foremost. Before I jump in to the market overall, kind of go over some on-chain stuff very quickly as well, and even go over the Fear and Green Dex and a few other bits as well. More importantly, a lot has been occurring behind the scenes. For anyone that has read my BTC tethered document, I'm actually working on a sequel to that right now, which I started whilst on holiday. This is going to be available for everyone. I will be giving potentially free memberships again to people with limited access to the innovation library to read this particular sequel, which will be going into a lot more depth and more importantly trying to decipher who could likely be behind the pseudonym or at least the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto, and more importantly where the kind of progression of Bitcoin technology and blockchain technology is going to be leading us many years down the line. I've been uncovering a lot of very crazy stuff, interlinks with the CIA, NSA. It's really just absolutely crazy, and the initial book was kind of led up as a warm-up to the next book, which is going to go a bit deeper and a bit darker and kind of perception shattering for many people. So I'm currently working on that, been doing that all day today as well. Just dropped an hour-long members crypto flow as well. We've got the introduction of some new stuff for the members as well, like the on-chain oversights, a new series that I'll be doing on a weekly basis. Overall, some crazy stuff, but let's get into XRP. Now, zooming out, we can start to see now how the pieces of the puzzle of everything I've been expecting is slowly but surely coming into play. And the beauty of using this Kraken interface is it does allow me to easily show the buy and sells and how over time everything I've been telling you guys is not only coming into play, but also why I've been saying this stuff has not been. Very important to clarify this. What I've been saying during this period where price has been pumping, dumping, all of this manic stuff that's been going on over the prior 12 months, it hasn't been to scare anyone. It hasn't been FUD. I'm not trying to crash prices to buy back lower because I'm viewing the charts and they're showing me they will crash for me to buy back lower anyway. I'm not here to scare people, I'm here to benefit people. And hopefully now as prices begin to deplete even further, you can start to see that even during that moment where the market was pumping and everyone starts going, you're wrong, what's happened to this target, what's happened to that target? Well, now we're getting a lot closer. People have absolutely shut up again, and that is likely due to the fact they are probably in significant drawdown now. And we've given you numerous warnings, and we are doing this ourselves. Over the Christmas period, executed a sell on XRP at $1 for $50,000 profit. Now over here we can see on the 23rd of December, just before Christmas, I thought this is a beautiful payday and a little Christmas bonus just before the true madness begins. So again, it justifies going out and living life a little bit as well, which is kind of the message behind taking profits. It's not only to protect your capital, but it's also to just have a bit of freedom in the real world. Never forget that in the real world, you do need money as well. Now, as we kind of covered in the last YouTube video as well, I did give you guys a bit of a heads up that I was looking to take profits somewhere within this region. I always give you guys a rough kind of understanding of what I'm overall looking at. But again, it's the members that will obviously get the precise buy and sell targets or where I'm actually executing from myself, because people are paying for this stuff. I cannot give out the precise levels. But what originally happened was, just to run through the sequence. Now, when we actually dip back down into this level, I think I recall mentioning this, I was actually looking to sell at $1.4 on XRP. However, something just pulled me away from doing it whilst I was in Mykonos. I just said, no, just leave it a bit more. However, as this played out absolutely perfectly, and then my 1.3 target that I also removed for whatever reason, I'm an absolute idiot, it went down again. And as we saw this sequence play out, I decided that once we return and break down upon confirmation of what I've been expecting, I'm going to execute a sell at $50,000 profit at $1. And if we go to trades, You can see if I hover over, it shows that only $5,000 profit up there has been taken. But this is of course because I set a sell limit precisely at $1 and it filled me in at multiple different quantities. So overall, we managed to extract $50,000 out of the market. And as we can see over here right now, we're sitting comfortably on $300,000 in fiat USD that has now been successfully extracted out of the market, which is now worth triple what the XRP holdings are worth. Now, it's also important to clarify here, as we've been progressing through this journey, $250,000 of that is from this specific XRP play. However, some of the other altcoins I've been holding, such as Syscoin and some of the others like that, I've taken a relatively large sum of money off the table on those coins as well. So what I've done is, to make this a nice clean number of $300,000, I've taken a small portion of the profits that I've taken to then bring this over to here to additionally give me, or essentially give me, an additional 50k profit, just to bring this up to a nice 300k number, which is going to come in handy very, very soon. Now, as we can see from the XRP side, still holding over 135,000 XRP, which is currently worth just over $100,000. Now, the goal here is to hopefully try and get out, or at least leave myself with just 100,000. So I've technically still got around 35,000 XRP available in my head mentally to sell. However, at this present point in time, I do not see any more opportunities to be selling right now, and the main focus on my mind is buying. But this is also a very strong reminder, and I don't want people to get offended when I say this stuff, but I'm going to be very brutally real, because now that we're finally getting closer and closer to those stages where all of my targets and projections are coming through, and all of that ridicule I've had to endure for months on end whilst the market was pumping, this right here is a perfect explanation of what I've just been trying to explain all along. And whether or not people get offended, personally, I don't really care, because we are showing you how well this is now working and how this is all coming into play. For all we know right now, I'm very heavily inclined to this. I said this to the members as well. I'm pretty confident right now we are pretty much in a bear market. And I kind of said that from the point BTC did actually drop down from 60k to 30k. However, as we approached those highs and liquidated, due to the fact we broke all-time highs on pretty much an intraday basis, everyone was screaming, well, how can that be the case? And now we can see those 100k projections, those plan B models, the XRP going to $300 million by the end of the year has not worked out. Because as I continuously tell you guys, these influencers, these people, all of these entities that are just sheep, blind leading the blind, they are not invested in you. They do not have any vested interest in your own personal interests. They do not care about you. They will just shill whatever they shill from one person to the other because it benefits them, because they get likes, retweets and followers, and they get paid advertisements that the majority of the retail sector, who are arguably very, very stupid, will just naively follow whatever they say and buy into whatever they sell. We need to be logical here. If we look at the charts again very quickly on XRP, a very apparent point I made from this point in time where I took that extra 50k off the table is we are very likely going to reverse back down to 20 cents or even 10 cents is where I stand now on this particular pair. People are saying alt season or we're in a parabolic rally. Just simply look at this chart on a weekly perspective. After pumping up to this level, we have been depleting lower and devaluing since April the 12th, 2021. So it's been pretty close to we're getting close to almost a year already since we've seen that pump to $2, and we have never engulfed this region since. This is no longer a mirror of any historical cycle we've seen. People are screaming there's an alt season, it's still outstanding, how can the market go down without, an alt season happening? Well, guess what? We have had an alt season. All of these coins have made significant gains from their 2020 lows. They have made phenomenal gains, and people have just been so consumed by greed, they have not been willing to take profits off the table. And I said this very clearly in the very early days, people will not realize we're in a bear market until it's too late. So a lot of people can, scream or cry that when the market's pumping, I'm saying we could be going into a bear market. But now you can see exactly why we say this stuff, because in the moment, no one can comprehend what we're trying to get across. And now that it's too late, a lot of people are left holding bags. Whereas if you just simply followed what we done by being patient, not being greedy, and just detaching from the majority, you can now be in a favorable position. Whilst most are suffering quite drastically in drawdown, you now have that capability and be fiat rich to reinvest back into the market at better prices. And this is exactly what's currently ongoing in my mind, where this 300k that's now at my disposal, I'm expecting, first of all, we've got some short-term levels like 50 cents of 60 cents. We need to obviously come back down and retest some crucial support around 50. However, I'm personally thinking at this present point in time, dependent on what BTC does, it could go actually a little bit lower. And I've removed the buy limits I had. I have 2 buy limits in place at present for $150,000 at levels below, just below, somewhere below 50 cents. I'm not going to say exactly what those levels are, but I'm anticipating some form of drop and liquidation below the 50 cents level, where I'm going to be utilizing to reinvest that 150k back into the market, because I believe what could be happening upon breaching below this level, and probably it's best to use the actual charts, but we'll get to that in a minute. But in very simple terms, horizontal line, looking up here, I'm personally seeing what could be happening next is price could be, if I zoom in slightly, I believe price is going to come in and take out the 50 cent support floor. And I'm going to be accumulating positions below this level as it starts dipping lower, wherever that may be, to then reinvest and look to take profits upon what I believe is going to be a return back to that $1 to $1.2 level. And upon that situation occurring, I am not only going to take out the additional investments I'm buying around these lower prices, wherever they may be, could be 10 cents, could be 20 cents, could be 40, 50, 60, 30, whatever that may be, I'm looking to reinvest below the 50 cents level. And then what I will do with that capital that's been invested below there is look to take it out around that $1 or even just above the $1 region. Because what I believe will be taking place from there is the final pump of this potential bear market. And we can easily say right now, as we're depleting lower, if we return to 50 cents or lower, we have confirmation we are now in a bear market. And unfortunately, if that is to be the case, it will be far too late for many people. But my plan behind that is, as you guys know overall, I'm waiting for a revisit of the initial levels I bought at, which is why throughout this cycle, as we can see perfectly now, the buys, sells, buy, sell, sell again, sell again. Now I'm going back into buy mode because I've successfully taken out a lot more than I put in, and now I'm going to be putting in a lot more than I originally put in. However, before we get back down to what I believe is going to be a 10 cents region, maybe even lower, I'm not going to lie to you, I do feel it could potentially go lower. I'm going to be looking to reinvest a huge chunk. However, 30k for me is still not enough at this present point in time. I want to try and go in at 500,000 or more at those levels that linger down below. So by reinvesting upon a potential dive below that 50 cents level, I can then potentially flip my holdings several times over and take profits around these regions. And what I will also do is not only reinvest those profits, I will not only sell that reinvestment capital that I will put in upon a potential breach of 50 cents, I will also sell the majority of the remaining holdings here if we do see that sequence play out, where I will then predominantly have maybe even nearly $1 million to put back into the market at that point in time. So at this present point in time, you need to realize when you are in a bear market, the key message to understand here is the profit taken out of the market should be worth extraordinarily more than the holdings you have left in the market. If you are peaking, and we are in these current situations, if you are in a loss right now, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, if you are in a loss right now, considering the meteoric rise we've had, not just on XRP, we haven't gone back to all-time highs, but we've had the exact same gain that we've had on BTC in this cycle. It's actually achieved the same percentage returns, pretty much almost on the dot, exactly the same, very, very close. So if we go to BTC quickly and we look at this market, we've got BTC on the left, XRP on the right, LTC on the bottom right, and Ether on the bottom left. Now let's just zoom out, go to the monthly quickly on BTC. If you are currently in a loss after this movement, you have done something incredibly wrong. Whether that's from listening to influencers, whether that's from your mentors telling you to buy the top, something has gone drastically wrong. You should not by any means necessary be in a loss or drawdown at this particular point in time. We've barely even made it a fraction of the way this could potentially go yet. And this is what I'm trying to say is a very important message to start off with. I know this can be a bit brutally harsh or just saying I told you so, but honestly, I have to do it in this way because otherwise people will never listen until it's too late. And at the moment, I'm a bit scared it may be too late for those that may not have listened. So if we go over here now, when you're in these situations, your profits taken out need to be worth a lot more than what your holdings are worth. Because if you're in a situation now where your holdings are significantly lower and you didn't take any profit, you may very well have missed that opportunity. If we do remember, even in this point of time over here, I still believe we're in a bear market from this point in time. Simply looking now, there is a range on BTC. The high over here has now been liquidated. It's gained that necessary liquidity to dip back down, which naturally means that 30k support floor is of a significant area of interest. Now, in terms of downside targets given to members, specifically on Ethereum and BTC, when we were at this point in time, I've not only done a video on this as well, but for the members, I said we are awaiting a $40,000 BTC next, which has essentially been fulfilled at this very point in time. We are just a few $100s away, to the best of my knowledge, from what we achieved today. Yeah, we're about $600 away. Now, Ethereum, I was looking at around the $3,200 to $3,000 level. However, now that has come through so swiftly, we need to prepare for what could easily be a much larger upside movement. And what I mean by that is there's currently a trend line here that is essentially the make or break level for Ethereum. Another thing people didn't realize with Ethereum, and luckily we kind of caught this when we done a video for you guys as well, is as we came in to take out this high, everyone was getting excited thinking, oh my God, we've broken, we're going to go to 10k. This was simply a liquidation of the highs. To take out the highs over here, we liquidate, we now start plummeting lower. Looking at this support floor over here around that $2,600 level, you have to see that the overall trend, even ignoring that trend line for a second, the overall, how can I explain this clearly? I may need to use the rotated rectangle tool. So let's say this cycle from here onwards. This overall rally and trend, what we are approaching right now is a midpoint, and this is a very weak level of support in my opinion, because the initial reversal caused and reacted from this level of around $2,000. So I can quite confidently say at this present point in time, we are most definitely looking at a potential move that could even lead this down to a $2,000 to a $1,500 Ethereum. At the same time, we need to look at stuff like the CME futures chart. We have broken out of a very significant range. I covered this with the members. We are looking to see this get filled and continue lower. I even posted this on Twitter the other day as well, showcasing that I called the $52,000 region before a continuation down. Guiding ourselves with this CME futures chart is one of the best ways because we can utilize the gaps. A lot of people have said to me over time, they do not need to be filled, but as we can see right now, they are slowly but surely becoming fulfilled time and time again. And outstanding right now, there is a $32,500 gap. Below that, there's 24k to 18.5k, and eventually 10k, which obviously I believe is going to happen slowly but surely. But at this present point in time, there are some threatening confluences around that 30k region, so we need to be taking that seriously. The BTC dominance. I had a severe amount of people on Twitter saying it's bearish, oh my God, it's dropping. Well, if you look at it now, on the monthly, it did close bearish, and often a weakening BTC dominance is a representation that an alt season is right around the corner. However, as we've seen, despite this dropping and still maintaining within the 40% dominance territory I've been expecting, this did not cause any form of an alt season whatsoever. Some coins have gone a little bit higher, and some coins I'll be showing in a second have gone a bit higher, and they've fulfilled my projections and they're now dropping. A lot of the altcoins you see at this present point in time, whether that's Matic, Atom, all of those coins that are, or Labs or Luna, whichever one was at the top, I forgot, all of those coins that have kind of gone into their highs one more time are essentially looking to do right now exactly what BTC and Ethereum have done. So anything you see pushing near those highs are essentially going in for a final liquidation. And a very good example of that is Syscoin, where I took profits on this around the $1 region and around the 77 cents region. So as we done usual approaches, I scaled out here, scaled out again at $1. And as it started pushing up, I got a few people message and go, well, hold on, it's pushing, what's going on here? I said, just be patient, wait for those monthlies, wait for those dailies, wait for those weeklies. And as we can see, that final blowout came in just to liquidate those highs. And on a weekly time frame, you can see how this is now pushing back down below this territory. And what's going to happen here on a monthly time frame perspective is we can see a clear range on a coin like Syscoin. Now that this has moved significantly, I do not care that I've missed out on a few extra 10 cents movement, because once this potentially breaks and reverses in line with what I've been expecting overall, this could be all the way back down at the bottom. And as you guys know, I truly believe almost every single coin in this market is actually going to go back down to their very bottom. Because I personally do not believe, and I'm going to break this down in a second as well on XRP, I personally believe at the moment we are not going to see any true, real parabolic movement on XRP for at least another 3 years or so. At the moment, from what I've shown the members with some projections, 2025 is currently looking like a very interesting level in line with some of the overall longer term movements and analysis and projections I've been shown. The problem here is the majority of the XRP community, just like many others, it's cult-like. I'm obsessed with XRP. I love XRP. I have the most belief in XRP. The problem is people are expecting court case settlements in a matter of weeks. People saying they've seen YouTube videos where people have insider knowledge and it's going to be settled. The judges themselves probably don't even know when the case is going to be settled yet, because it's an ongoing process. I'm not even certain it will even be finalized this year yet. I truly believe there could be a very long period before this truly breaks out. We need those regulations. We need to see this court case over and done with, especially from an XRP perspective. And people just kind of fail to realize that this could be a very long, slow-term game. We are slowly grinding lower, which tells me over time there could be a very large breakout coming into play. But in very simple terms, I think this needs to bottom out first. Maybe even liquidate that 10 cents region and scare the absolute living shit out of everyone. It's the best way possible. If you guys saw the community post we done earlier as well, regarding some of the tweets I put out today, which we put on Instagram as well, you want to be buying at a point in time where everyone else is selling. And the only way we're going to get that is through a severe mass liquidation of the market. If you recall in the last video, guys, what I covered was how many stop losses will be located down below these levels. And at this present point in time, we need to be incredibly careful. As we do with anything else, I work from higher time frames. So when things are going up against me, people start yelling, "You're wrong." However, in a simple month or two, everything can absolutely change, sometimes in a week. So overall, we are still focusing on slowly trickling our way down. And the biggest concern at the moment is there is very little, as I've said before, below this 30k level until 20k. And because we've rejected this level once, many people would have accumulated long here. We had a huge crash from 60, we lost like 50%, even more, down to here. Something caused a significant reversal back up from this level. So naturally that would tell us a huge amount of buying occurred here, which also tells us there's a huge accumulation of long positions that will still likely be held from these regions, because no one wants to sell up here because it's simply not enough for people. They're too greedy. So that means stop losses anywhere around this region and below are going to be accumulated quite drastically, which could be causing that series of liquidations down towards that $20,000 region. And it's definitely something on my mind right now, because if we see that 20k come through, or even a breach towards $30,000, that's going to activate the XRP buying spree for me, where I believe we're going to get a relief rally one more time, where, for example, with BTC, whether it rejects 30 or comes into 20, I think people are going to get one more lifeline to maybe see a 40, 50k BTC before it absolutely crumbles back down below $10,000 and even towards the lows of that 6k region that I have been desperately anticipating for a very long time now. And again, it kind of just goes to show as well, it takes patience. It takes a long time, and it takes a vision beyond what's happening in the current moment. This is why the candles are white. We have no bias. And something I mentioned in one of the prior videos a while ago as well is you can often tell when the final phases of a bear market are coming into play, because the candles grow larger and larger and larger. I tweeted about this earlier as well. The larger those candles get in rapid succession that are purely bullish without pulling back, the bigger the drop's going to be. And this occurred around 10k, the initial breakout. So naturally, even at 10k, we have an absolutely crucial floor that has not been retested since breaking above. So even 10k is a relatively, I wouldn't even call it optimistic. It's far from optimistic. It's logical. It's a broken level where a huge explosion occurred. Now, when you see this pumping up, the majority of people start buying here. Michael Saylor, has that guy even turned a profit yet? No. Has he realized any profits yet? No. Elon Musk got in and out. He made the money. The majority of people that followed him got absolutely slaughtered. No one here is your friend. No one here is looking out for you. No one is here to make you money. They're here to make themselves money and absolutely fuck you over in the process. This is a brutal, honest truth of how the markets work, especially in crypto, where emotions are at an absolute all-time high. It's absolute insanity. Just go on Google or go on YouTube and just type in BTC or XRP. And as we've shown you from them thumbnails before, these are the enemies. These are the final bosses we are currently standing against in this big battle and showdown of bullish versus bearish. But hopefully here you can see why just being completely neutral. What I need to get across as well is when I'm saying this stuff, people saying you're bearish from this price, you're bearish from here, you're bearish from there. No, the charts just show me that we are going to eventually return back to these prices. Therefore, I need to be absolutely neutral in my standpoint, because overall I am so bullish it's disgusting and sickening. But I understand that bullish kind of projection is many years down the line, and I'm not talking BTC, because if we see this all come through, the possibility of BTC surviving or even going much, much higher after is actually very little, in my opinion. Because when regulatory changes come into play and, you know, CBDCs, all of these payment-based cryptos, XRP is kind of the facilitator of the CBDC network and infrastructure. But coins like BTC that are out there to kind of overthrow this entire system, how are they going to allow it to survive if they're currently working, implementing, and some are even already live on their own central bank digital currencies? It's just kind of reality. It's hard to explain it, but it's common sense. And unfortunately, common sense is not that common these days. But looking at something like LTC as a good example as well, I do feel there's a good opportunity for these coins to go up one more time in this current cycle, but it's not going to be a significant movement as people expect. And I think just like many other times, which I'll show you in a second using XRP or BTC, there's a long way down to go. And along that long way down to go, there'll be numerous opportunities. For example, if we break below and we go into the 20k region as an example, there may be an opportunity to see a reversal back up. That will be your blessing to take more profits off the table if you bought in at the right price. Where you buy in a bear market will dictate how successful you'll be in a bull market. If you're buying in a bull market, you're going to have very little luck surviving a bull market, or definitely not surviving a bear market. If we see this drop down, it will be one of them situations likely where it just continues down again. You know how it just constantly trends and just projecting over time how it could all play out. That's obviously not an accurate projection, but what I'm trying to say is as price potentially continues depleting, any significant rally back up from that point onwards will be another trick to trick people into thinking there's a bull run. But what you need to be utilizing in your mind in that current scenario is common sense and just going, well, hold on. The market's just taken out some lows, which if 30k happens, will be a very significant level and mark of a bear market, 100% confirmation basically. So if you see 30k broken and then you see a potential rally back to the upside, if you're not buying the true dips, remember, these are the real dips we're seeking, not these dips that you see people like Michael Saylor or all these stupid little people on Twitter with NFT profile pictures talking about, you know, this is not a dip, this is not a dip, this is not a dip. The real dips are these movements over here. These are the true dips, the actual swings on the overall larger trend. All of these little movements in here, if you just put that in perspective, that's a dip, 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 that's a dip. These are all dips. But if you continuously buy these dips, you're not dollar cost averaging down, you're dollar cost averaging upwards. So you're basically DCAing on the inverse. Dollar cost averaging in the cryptocurrency market, which is based on a predominantly short-term cycle basis, very volatile short-term cycles, it's not going to help you in the long run. As I've said, I personally believe this could take many more years to truly thrive because there's many obstacles in the way. This is purely speculative in its current phase, and more importantly, there's barely any utility besides a select few coins. And even then, because there's utility, because there's partnerships in the real world, besides some Bitcoin ATMs and a few people accepting BTC or any other coin for that matter, very few large corporations or on a real worldwide mainstream scale are we actually seeing crypto adopted in the real world just yet. Just because we're involved in this space, it can seem like a lot is going on. But go and talk in the outside world and tell any person if they know anything about cryptocurrency, a lot of them are actually still clueless. And we are very fortunate that we are early in this space. And I don't want this to, what I'm currently viewing in the markets, you have to realize we all have entirely different perceptions of how we view these charts. I just happen to view these charts in this manner, and over time it has progressively benefited me and generated me a lot of money in the process. And that purely comes from patience and just kind of going against the herd. But many people see things in a different manner. I feel the problem is we get too attached to what one person's saying. You shouldn't take what I'm saying as gospel, but you also shouldn't take it with a pinch of salt. You need to take everything in a very neutral manner. Some people are going to tell you 500k BTC. On the other end, you've got me, the absolute lunatic, saying 6k BTC. So you need to take it and kind of approach the market in a very neutral standpoint, and just understand that now you can see yet again, preparing for these downsides is going to massively benefit you. And I've seen a lot of it on Twitter. I'm not going to call out any names, but a lot of people that were absolutely talking the most shit about me were getting their members in. These are mentors getting their members in at all-time highs, promising more and more and more. Why do people do that? Now, I'm going to be real. Of course, I've got a service. However, I don't really shill it too much. And what people need to realize is as well, that even though the market's pumping, I'm normally the person saying it's going to go down when the market's pumping. But a lot of these influencers or mentors or people with signals or courses, whatever it may be, I'm technically within that demographic of people. The difference is I do not utilize a bull run to make over extended predictions to get people to join my course or service or whatever it may be. The problem here is a lot of people utilize the bull run knowing everyone's delusional to then get you enticed and sign up. And then once you've jumped on board and they've taken your money, then you suddenly realize yet again that all of these people that were experts when the market's pumping suddenly have no clue whatsoever what they're doing. You need to understand, not many people know because not many people are willing to prepare. Most people look at the charts married to a bias. For example, alt season. Who looks at the chart and just kind of thinks, hold on, maybe there's not going to be an alt season. There's no guarantee of anything, but if you take everything from a neutral standpoint, it allows you to view the market with more clarity. And this is how I view everything. People say I'm bearish. No, I'm incredibly bullish. This is barely a fraction of where crypto could be over the years. This is barely a fraction. And no one really understands that. Everyone says I'm in it for the long term, but I guarantee you no one will be in it for the long term if we see this situation unfold. Which for me, if we actually see prices continuously trickle down all the way to the bottom again, that would be the most bullish signal I could ever receive in my life, because that's where the maximum amount of money is going to be made. I was even saying this to the members earlier. If this sequence plays out how I expect, I'm going to end up having more money or more XRP, potentially 1 to 5 million XRP from this 30k standpoint that we started with. I'll end up having more XRP from this particular active traded play than I will do in my main holdings. And if this all comes through accordingly, I could potentially have around 5 million XRP by the time this truly sets off many years down the line. But I do feel right now, as we've come to these levels, we called this from here, the very top, when this started crashing down. Same as here again. We need to understand right now, look at where these coins are, guys. Highs have been taken out. Look at where this is now. This is not the same cycle we've seen before. This is not the parabolic alt season or bull run they're talking about, because we're almost back at the bottom already. My downside targets are actually 100 times closer than those wacky upside predictions people were giving you were. And it's only now in a single candle it really can start getting there again. And as we're approaching, I'm hoping people are just starting to take this more seriously now. The most important thing as well is it doesn't mean all hope is lost. Looking at these levels down here, Ethereum, the concern here is there's a huge way down to go. The same level on BTC is 30k. This is around 2k to 1.5k on Ethereum. Difference is, it's just a very weak level. It's rejected, it's caused a rally. This has been liquidated. If this comes in again, it may not hold the next time round because of those long positions that will likely have stop losses all the way down below, trickling down the system to $1,000. You know my rules. I think Ethereum's going back to 200. LTC, I've said this from the offset, $60 is my target, but I personally think it could go lower. We're about 50% of the way to that target now as well. Link is a good example, which we'll get to in a minute as well. But I also want to mention this dominance real quick. So one thing that people have said is, it's bearish, alts are going to fly. I personally think this BTC dominance right now looks incredibly bullish. And I wouldn't be surprised if this starts blasting towards a 50, 60, even 70% dominance very soon. And seeing that BTC is potentially going to drop in this process, you know, again, let's clarify. If it suddenly whips back up, there's a head and shoulders here anyway, so I'm not concerned. Shoulder, head, shoulder. People say, why are you so fixated on the head and shoulders? Well, they normally work, especially in the top of a market. Worked here, now it's creating a bigger one. So even if we returned here again, that would essentially be your third second blessing from life and the market, even if it breached higher. And this can kind of show you that despite the fact we went to $70,000, we're now back at $40,000. So breaking all-time highs was essentially irrelevant because it hasn't worked out too much. And that was your second chance I told you about. You know, over here was talking about that potential lower high being created. I still said up here, don't get excited yet, just wait. Same as over here. Broken high, liquidated, liquidated. They've all done the exact same thing. And now those highs have been liquidated and we've seen a sudden shockwave to the downside. This may only cause a continuous catapulting movement and a chain reaction of downside momentum. Fear and greed index, extreme fear. This is what we want to see. These are the buy signals we want. When people are in extreme fear, we know we are closely approaching the time to buy as well. And a quick oversight of the on-chain side of things as well, some of the many different things I've started covering. We've also got the on-chain metrics book in the library as well. The most important thing here is unrealized loss and realized loss. This is a downwards trend. This is looking like it needs to go on an absolutely parabolic rally of its own. Unrealized losses have been at a very low point for a very low time, naturally where prices have been going to all-time highs on BTC. This metric could absolutely bolster through the roof as we start approaching a 20k BTC or even lower. As the price starts dropping, this will naturally go up in correspondence and work on the inverse. Same goes as the realized losses. We've seen two significant series of realized losses initiated around May and also around June, where the price bottomed out last year. Now we're seeing an early sign again. Same as the profit taken over here, realized profit started surging, the market slowly started rolling over. Now we can see this slowly being initiated. The market could be going lower before reversing back to the upside. So there's a lot going on right now that needs to be taken into consideration, and I'm a bit concerned about what's going on right now. Solana, we told you guys about this. We actually recorded this whilst it was at this point in time, dropping straight down to our initial targets. If this level gives way, $130 or so, this is going straight back down to slowly but surely 40, 20, even lower. This has been going purely up. Go to the monthly, we broke out here. So naturally, I want to see this come back down to $40. Cadena, we told you about this one as well. Look at how this is playing out right now. This broke the level we covered. We gave this to the members, came into our $16, $18 territory. It's now dumping back down. Huge wick down here needs to be filled. Naturally, this is a very weak level. There's not much holding this level in play. I want to see this come back down to 2 to even 0 pretty much. Not necessarily 0, but we saw it was trading before, 24 cents. Do not be surprised if you see this back where it broke out from. And what I tried to say is the bigger those candles go, the bigger your sign is to get out of the market. This is where people buy. This is where you should be selling. If this level breaks, if you've seen the crypto course lesson on YouTube as well, the wicks play tricks, and wicks overall, you need to understand wicks come in to get filled. This is almost a blueprint of where price could be going next. So whether or not these coins go in for one final little retest over here or not, I personally feel I'm looking at the moment for a bit of a continued drive down, breaking into these levels, whipping back up one final time, and then dipping down to the lows. Same goes for all of these. Sand at the moment is at a critical level. If this level snaps, we should be heading straight back down towards that $3 territory. I'm a bit cautious at the moment. I feel like this one may come in one more time just to dip into maybe $6. But overall, I'm seeing this coming into $3 to $2 pretty soon if that support floor gives way. And there's very little holding this up. So just remember again, weekly, monthly timeframes, think bigger, think longer term. Any little upside retracements at this point in time could simply be a gearing up for a much bigger movement. Link's another example, straight Fibonacci on this one. Personally, I've seen Link do this many times. My target's always been the $5 to kind of $2, $3 region for Link. If we see this current Fibonacci sequence unfold, it now perfectly corresponds with these levels I've had marked out. And we can see how rejecting this level, which is looking very likely right now, some coins have gone for an additional push. It's getting people excited. In my opinion, these are swinging up for people to take those profits, those larger players, before we see an even bigger shift to the downside. Again, April 2020, May 2020. We have not seen this pair recover since. So in theory, if this was on the inverse, people would be saying we're in a bull market. So if you flip this back to the correct way, we are in fact in a bear market on this pair at present. And no one can say this is a bull market, despite the fact this is progressing higher. The longer term, don't forget this, the longer term overall is bullish. Absolutely bullish. How could it not be? This is one hell of a bull run. Overall, collectively, this entire play is a bull run at present. However, in the current trend from the very top where we've reversed from, this is currently in a bearish cycle. Down, lower highs, dropping down. This may be coming into retest now, and this could very easily start collapsing down. So it's very important to differentiate between the two as well. Overall, everything's bullish, but in these current cycles, a lot of them have already shifted into a bearish cycle, and we would consider that a medium to short-term cycle. Doesn't mean it's game over, doesn't mean it's the end of the market, but theoretically speaking, yes, this could come back down to below $1, and I do think it will. Having a quick look as well, one of the pairs I've covered with the members, DAG, similar to Link, outperformed, started pushing higher. Had a lot of messages from members asking what to do. I just said watch out for this level because I feel it could be a major turning point, and Lord and behold, at present it is currently doing that as well. So you want to be keeping your eyes peeled on some of these coins that are slightly pushing higher and seemingly outperforming, because it seems like it's just a beautiful opportunity for those manipulating the market to take some additional profits off the table before a much larger correction comes into play on some of these coins as well. Uni's a good example. This played out absolutely perfect, so I covered with the members. Dipping in, $20 hit. If this support floor gets taken out, guys, there is nothing stopping this. Look at the empty space. There is nothing stopping this coming down to $3, $4, $2, $1. There's actually a lot of room to go down. And personally, I think that would actually come back down below $1 as well. At this present point in time, the more price maintains at a particular support level, the more those long positions accumulate in the process. Looking at this one over here, we've now, first reversal was huge. Nice big breakout to the upside. However, it still maintains those levels. The difference is now we've returned to this level of support, and there has not been enough bullish momentum to push this back up. So the concern here is now, with all of these longs being accumulated and all of these stop losses located down below within this region down here, we have not seen a significant enough buy, which means the bearish momentum is still dominant, which means if we come in to take out this level, the series of liquidations could send this straight down into that $3 region. And there's a big cause for concern for a lot of these coins. I mean, look at the monthly. All of these monthlies have closed below these wicks. This can die, like just die unbelievably. Again, Syscoin, a perfect example. Just to quickly go over this one again, I'm happy I'm out of this. I'm now actually in a better off position because the last sell was at around 110, if I remember. So even though it went against me, I'm now actually in a situation where I could theoretically put it all back in now and still have more holdings than before, which overall is of course the goal here. The goal is to take this out and accumulate our holdings. And my goal is to turn what was 200,000 XRP into over 1 million XRP. And all it takes now is a single dump lower, and I could almost fulfill this entire agenda in one single go. But I really wanted to just spend this particular video just covering a psychological aspect, showing you a bit of technicals into this as well. Don't take this particular sequence as gospel, by the way, but hopefully now, moral of the story is, guys, you can see how this is all slowly coming into a reality. It takes patience, it takes time, and it seriously takes some guts to go against the herd and really go about doing this. But I just want you guys to see why profit taking is so crucial. I don't like seeing people falling victim to these idiots, these mentors, these influencers that do not have your best interests at heart. There's a reason we jump on here, we show our faces publicly, we show you this money in real life, this real capital being traded. We put our money where our mouths are. We want to be helping as many people as possible. We have to be harsher sometimes and just be a bit, just throw it out there and say, yes, we did say this stuff may happen, because we just really want to help people. I hate, it makes me sick to see what this cryptocurrency space has become, with all these fucking influencers, excuse my language, that are just manipulating and enticing people and causing people to lose so much money, and they have no idea what they're doing themselves. It's the blind leading the blind, And yeah, it just makes me sick to my core, which is why I like to do the YouTube side for free as well. I know we have a membership base, but I feel like it's my duty to do this stuff and just help people out there, you know? So again, whatever it is that's been covered, whether you want to take it with a pinch of salt, whether you want to take it as gospel, all I ask as always is you guys just at least consider what we're saying here and just always prepare for the worst. You're always going to be in a better off position preparing for the worst versus simply only factoring in the upside as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope this has all made perfect sense. Another one coming next week. We're not stopping with these every single week. I'm going to update you guys again on XRP as well if we end up taking some more profit or if we end up buying after the move has been done and the members have been able to get in or out and the price has moved away from that level. We'll be updating you guys straight away as well.